Hello, welcome to Walpole United WFC.
Good evening and welcome to Walpole United WFC. Sorry about the slight delay as usual. Technical errors as per from you know who.
No technical errors. I don't know what you're on about.
Is he frozen for you there? Whilst talking about technical errors.
And as soon as I talk about technical errors, mine starts playing up.
Mate, that was the best intro.
Manchester for you all over there.
That was the best intro I've ever been a part of. You were trying to absolutely out me, and I thought, oh God, here we go. And it was you.
Oh, fucking hell.
Start that one again.
No, because I don't want to embarrass myself anymore. We'll just get on with the show. Tonight we've got our special guest with us. Gareth, how are we, fella?
Yeah, good, thank you. Even better after the last sort of hour and 2 hours or so. But that's for another channel and another day, you know.
Oh man, I don't care. I don't care. Stuff talk about the World Cup or Europeans Championships. Just fucking talk about United. No, I'm joking. You are right. Ollie's at the wheel though. Remember that. Matt, how are you, fella?
Yeah, good mate. Now I've defrosted. Jesus, it's gone cold outside, hasn't it? My days.
Craney lad, is that the Leicester fixtures behind your head on the wall there?
No, I've got the Leicester fixtures elsewhere, lad.
Is that your European Championship shot already?
No, that is my Man United women and FC United fixtures. I've got the ones on my calendar.
So the Leicester ones get special place on his calendar, you see. Well, we know where his priorities lie.
Yeah, so yeah.
What are you munching on anyway? Because you're munching on halfway through our show here. What are you munching on? Revels.
Revels. What's your favourite?
Revel. Anyway, let's get into this chat about this European Championship, because obviously the group draw was made and all that lot. We're in Group A, as we already knew. But our first game at Old Trafford is against Austria, unless I'm very much mistaken. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong now. What do we make of England's group then, or the Lionesses group there, Gareth? Are you confident with that one? Are you happy with it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a group we should be getting through. A little bit disappointed, you know. We're in a qualifying group for the World Cup with Northern Ireland and Austria. So I was kind of hoping for, you know, a few maybe slightly different teams that we've not seen us play for a while. But you know, it is what it is, and we've got two Matt Cranes that are about. But yeah, I feel like it's a good group. It's a group we should be looking to get through pretty comfortably. You know, we've seen that we can beat Northern Ireland, beat them 4-0 last week, playing Austria later on next month, and we'll get a good idea of where we're at with that. So, yeah, you know, I think it's a decent group. I think it's a group we'll look to get through. I'm just a little bit disappointed that there weren't a few sort of different teams come out for us, you know, maybe like I know Iceland are a good side, but, you know, a Finland or a Russia or something like that who have not seen us play for a while. You know, to get two groups that we're in a World Cup qualifying group with is a little bit like, oh, I would have liked someone a little bit different.
Is that not an advantage for England, though? No, they know their opponents quite well.
Yeah, but I guess you could say the same for the opposition as well. You know, Northern Ireland have just been smashed 4-0 by us. Now they're going to know how to defend against it. So, yeah, I guess that advantage goes both ways. But yeah, we will know them well. And I think Norway will be a tough game. You know, they've got some good players. But they're three games that I would go in and expect us to win and be hopeful that we come away with sort of 9 points from that group, 7 points, 9 points, something like that.
Was that cop car group I saw your new house window?
Potentially, either that or an ambulance or a fire engine. I'm not sure. I can't tell the difference.
I don't know. You live in Liverpool, don't you? So
behave.
Anyway, Matt, what do you make of the group, mate? Are you as confident as Gareth? Are you as disappointed as well that we've not really drawn different teams. As I said, two of the opponents are in our World Cup qualifier groups as well. So, how's your reaction to that sort of group draw that we've got there?
Yeah, I think for me, I think John asked in the group chat, didn't he, or who we're going to get, and I knew full well that Northern Ireland would be coming up. You just know. Always happens, doesn't it? But no, I'm the same as Gareth. I think for me, you want to see something different, don't you? It wouldn't have been an issue if it was somebody else, but the fact that you've got two opponents that we're also facing in a World Cup qualifier, it's just, do you know what I mean? It was disappointing that the first game at Old Trafford is against Austria. Could have been against Norway or something a little bit better than Austria, but here we are. So, but yeah, I know we're going to get on to sort of who's going to qualify or what group in our opinion, but I would have just liked to see some variety. It's great we're facing Norway, but then we've got two teams that we must have played that many times or will have done, plus friendlies as well, because we played Northern Ireland in friendlies recently. It's just one of them, but I suppose you can't really, as such, fix the draw, even though we like to have a bit of a joke about these cup draws in the league. But yeah, we'll see what we get. It's a group now. It's done. We've got it. We know we're facing. We know we've got tickets to watch. So yeah, let's just count down the days now and crack on.
Are you looking forward to the Austria game at Old Trafford then? Is it one that really sort of whets the appetite as an opening group game? Or not even an opening game of a competition? Is it something that really whets the appetite? Do you think it'll draw the neutrals in?
Not really.
Not really, no.
I hate to start to put down at me, but I just look at it and it's just, like I say, if it was Norway, everybody would be up for it, or even Northern Ireland, because Northern Ireland's like a sort of a, so to say, a local derby, innit? A nation sort of thing. But Austria, it's about as inspiring as getting slapped by a wet fish.
I don't necessarily agree. I think that whatever the tournament, the opening game is always one that gets people tuning in. So, if you think of the Euros, that opening game, Italy, everyone tuned in to watch. And I think that'll be the same here. I mean, yeah, granted, it could have been maybe a bit more of a competitive game. And, we play in Austria at Stadium of Light next month and we'll probably come away pretty comfortable winners. And we should do it at Old Trafford. But I think, it's a big stadium. It's a big occasion. And I think, there'll be the opening ceremony and the whole, hopefully, a lot of people there as well. So, although I think the game could have been maybe a better one, I think the occasion will live up to it as well. And, with it being a home Euros and it being England kicking everything off, people will go and people will watch, or people are tuning on TV, because I imagine, well, hopefully it'll be on BBC, so can get people in there. It should be good. It should be good fun.
Do you reckon? Here's a big question: will Old Trafford be a sellout for this opening game? No, it's all right drawing it on the audience onto the television. Will that first game be a sellout at the biggest ground they're playing at as well, other than the final at Wembley?
No, sorry, Matt. I'll just let you just jump in a second. But no, I think it will be a sellout. But I don't think it needs to be. I think if you're sort of getting 50,000, 60,000 people there, and it's just like the very top tiers that maybe aren't open, it will still look good on TV. It will still sound good. You get 50,000 people in there, it's gonna be a good crowd. Obviously, what you don't want is what happened at Wembley this weekend, last weekend, where there was about 23,000. So no, I don't really think it will sell out, because 70,000 is a lot of tickets to shift, but I think there'll still be a pretty good crowd. And I think people will just go because it's the home Euros, because it's the Lionesses. I think the Germany game at Wembley got 70,000, but that was Germany. It was literally just after the last World Cup. So hopefully kind of people buy into the hype before the tournament this time and not straight afterwards.
Matt, you got any opinions on that? Do you think Old Trafford can maybe see at least 50,000, what Gareth's sort of roughly suggested there?
I'd like to think so, yeah. I think the thing about Old Trafford is that obviously, if you're sort of a follower of clubs, there's two teams in Manchester, whereas obviously you mentioned Wembley, and it's not, okay, there's London teams around, obviously down there, but it's not very accessible, Wembley, is it? It's not like, it's simple to get to. there's like an underground, then it's an overground, and if you drive, it's a faff to sort of park and get in and out of. And Old Trafford's just a lot easier, isn't it? It's middle of Manchester. Like I say, simple transport links, and it does make a difference, and as well as that, sensible ticket pricing, So I think great stadium for the opening game. Obviously, I'd say similar to what Gareth was saying, we can get about 60, 65,000, that'd be good enough. I think they'll probably open all the tiers by the third tier. I think we'll have it fully open, but they'll probably leave off that third tier. And that'll be sort of, your capacity. And obviously, don't forget as well, there's usually all the sponsors and that get the freebies and never show up. So, got to cater for that. But no, I'd like to think, I think most people I've spoke to, have all said, oh, yeah, we're coming to the opening game and dead excited for it. So, yeah, fingers crossed people travel.
I'm just going to pull up this John Foster comment here. Do we think the draw is fixed in any way? John's on his own detective skills again. Look at it. He reckons there's espionage on the draw.
Well, you see, John's not got a telly, has he? So I'm assuming he didn't watch it. Told me he didn't have BBC.
Probably watched it on iPlayer about 10 minutes behind everybody else. And then I wonder why not Birmingham in the Birmingham area, because it's because your roads will confuse all the fuckers from Europe, mate. That's why.
And your accent.
Really, accent. I just want to get this one up as well, if I may, before I move on. I think it's encouraging ticket sales has got to be established the city for international games. Imagine thousands of fans from Europe travelling to places like Leigh, certainly accessed by a bus. That's a true point, that, to be fair.
No, fair point, yeah. I think the thing is with Leigh, like you say, we're not happy with it for club games in terms of accessibility. Imagine, I don't know, what if you're a Russian fan or something, or a Swedish fan, or a Swiss, or Holland, and you've got to get there. I think unless you're hiring a car, is a little bit difficult, isn't it? And it's like that of any country, like when you go on holiday, you got to sort of figure it out. And I think, it could cause some confusion, but hopefully
it could. But it's not difficult to get the V1 from Manchester to Leigh. It's pretty direct, so it's not as though it's completely cut off from anywhere. And Leigh has held sort of big matches before. It's held big events previously. It's not like the Academy Stadium is being I think that's a worse option than LSV is. It's a lot smaller, and obviously there is the Etihad there, so the car parking won't necessarily be an issue. But I think in terms of it being a good ground, it is a good ground. There is plenty of parking there. The parking is free as well, which is makes a massive change. And although it is isolated in a sense, if you're staying in Manchester, it's not difficult to get one bus straight into Leigh and then walk. These football fans are used to kind of figuring out awkward ways to get to grounds. It's not going to be overly difficult. And in terms of like congestion, well, yeah, I mean I've seen a lot of people sort of tweet about this, like how is LSV going to handle with all the Dutch fans coming together? But if they're not hiring cars, then there's not going to be a massive issue in terms of getting out. So yeah, I think it's not really going to be as bad as people are making it out to be. I think that people just seem to enjoy ranting about LSV for some weird unknown reason. It seems to be like
always Arsenal fans as well, I've noticed.
Well, it's not even that. It's like United fans as well. Just everyone seems to just love whinging about LSV, and actually, like it's a 12,000 capacity stadium, probably one of the better stadiums outside of those that are playing in the men's grounds. So, I'm not quite sure what people expect, but yeah, I quite like it. And like I say, parking's free, and Morrison's is just over the road, so you can get your snacks to take in with you. Like it's a good setup.
Don't forget the hotel as well and the leisure centre for those that come from abroad. Yeah, I just don't get it. It's like when they moan about the training facilities. It's like, well, Jesus, like you want to see half the other clubs. Like some clubs have got an absolute dive, and yet you're moaning about astral pitches and grass.
I'm sure the Manchester City Council actually put on special buses for the Euros as well to shuttle people to and from LSV. I'm sure there'll be special buses, like a special bus service that drops them outside the ground instead of at the bus station, which is a look a bit of a walk away. But I'm not so sure because I'm not one that goes on public transport much, so I wouldn't know. And don't forget the Wren, by the way, that John Foster's put in capital letters. Can't get the local water, can you? Gareth, moving on, I don't want to focus on England too much because it bore the pants off me, but moving on, and we'll come back to England a little bit later on. What group stands out? By looks of it, it must be Group B, the group below. That group looks a decent group. That is that the group that catches your eye, or are you very much behind the Dutch camp of things? What's your sort of feeling on the other groups?
If you could just extend that question for a tiny bit longer whilst I get up he wants the group stage.
To be fair, though, I'm not that arse, mate.
Do you want me to read them out?
Know what the groups are myself.
It's okay. I've got them in front of me now. So, in terms of two teams going through, I think you can look at quite a few of them, and you can probably figure out who the favourites and stuff are going to be. You'd imagine England and Norway will go through from Group A. You imagine Netherlands and Sweden will go through from Group C. You imagine France and one other from Group D. It's Group B, I think, where you look at it and you think it could be a few of them. Denmark and Germany, I'm going to get shot for saying this, I think are probably the favourites. But Spain are looking good as well. I know a lot of people back Spain, which, in the last couple of years, they've come on a lot. But if we're looking back over their previous tournament results, they're not fantastic. They've made it out the group stage in both, but then just crashed out in the first knockout game of both the last World Cup and the last Euros. They're a better side now. So I think, Group B is an interesting one. But I also kind of think that, I think Spain will be interesting to watch. But I also think that, their previous performance in knockout tournaments hasn't been as good as the kind of push they're getting from a lot of people now. So they seem to be looking to go and peak at the right time. That should be a really interesting group. I imagine probably Germany and Spain will go through, but Denmark will push people close.
Matt, a little bit of a smile came over your face as soon as you mentioned Spain, pal. For obvious reasons on the social media, again, you're causing a bit of a stir there, lad.
I don't cause any stirs, pal. It's just people are just sensitive. You mentioned Spain and everyone chucks a fit, but no, Gareth's right. If you look at Spain, listen, I've watched Spain live. I've watched Spain a couple of times from when they were absolutely nothing to where they are now. And, Gareth's spot on. You're not going to hide behind it. They've struggled in tournaments. Yes, they're up and coming. They've got some good individuals. Got some good youngsters coming through. Great. Put it all together and let's see what they do, Nobody's going expecting Spain. Spain are not amongst the favourites if we want to go off what the betting says now. I'm not going to pay attention to that too much because it's got us as joint favourites with Holland. But, listen, I've said you cannot write Spain off, but at the same time, for me personally, they're not my favourites. Without going on to looking ahead and Googling who plays who in the knockouts, that is a difficult group. You've got Denmark, decent side, got some good players, always do okay in tournaments. Germany's Germany, you can never write the Germans off. And listen, anything can happen at tournaments. You might see Finland holding somebody to a draw, you just never know, or winning. I think that for me is the group that sticks out, Group B, looking at France's group, it's a pretty poor group after them. Group C is quite interesting, but I don't quite think Switzerland, for me, have got enough to sort of trouble Holland. And then I think ours, it could be anything sort of from us, Northern Ireland and Norway. But again, I'd fully expect ourselves and Norway to qualify. But I'm assuming you're probably going to go into that in a little bit more detail. I may have jumped the gun there, but for me, like I say, apart from our group, looking forward to Group B. Seeing who goes through. So we'll be a biggish side that will get dumped out.
Has anyone got tickets for any of the games at LSV, by the way? Is it Group C that play at LSV, some of the games? As you mentioned earlier on, the Dutch. Is anyone out in this I would say chat, but on the show or even in the chat, has anyone actually got any tickets for LSV? Or are we not bothered with that?
No, that was the first ones he went for.
The first ones you went for, yeah.
So me and Gareth have got Sweden and Switzerland, I think, was it? And then
no, because Sweden are in
Switzerland.
Yeah, Russia and Switzerland, which I now can't do. So if anyone wants a ticket to that game, let me know. I'm at Silverstone for the Grand Prix. And we've got what other fixture have we got?
It's Sweden.
Oh, and then Sweden and Switzerland as well. It says, yes, we've got Russia, Switzerland, Sweden, Switzerland. You've applied for a couple of
Holland and
Holland. If it's at LSV, it'll be Russia. If it's at LSV, it's Russia.
Holland and Russia, then. Yeah. Holland and Russia. And so yes, we've got 2 tickets, Benny, and we've applied for Holland as well.
So, this application thing, I think that's absolutely ridiculous, by the way. Just sell the goddamn tickets. Why you have to go for an application phase?
They did.
Like it's going to be a sellout.
The thing is, some of them might be. Like, if you look at like the Academy Stadium, 5,000 capacity, may sell out. 12,000 for the Dutch could sell out as well, even less they don't open the terrace, which I have a feeling they won't do. So the Dutch game there could sell out as well. They've obviously had all the pre-stuff where you could sort of buy it up until now, and like pre-sale windows and stuff like that, where you could just buy the tickets. And now it's general sale; it's all balloted.
Right. If it was up to me, it's first come, first serve. Sell the stadiums out instead of pouncing about with this. Whatever it is I'm doing. But if anybody wants to go to the LSV games, is there a time limit on this sort of ballot that they'll be doing? Is there a time limit to get your name down for tickets for this draw?
There is, but I've no idea when it ends. It's either I think it's like the 10th or the 14th of November, and then it's like the 28th when you find out if it's been successful.
All right, so yeah, got a couple of weeks then.
Yeah, but a month. I'm sort of similar to you though, Ben. I think if you've 16th. Got sort of tickets left, why not just do it first come first serve rather than a ballot? And then because the open sale is not till February.
Well,
so
surely you
keep
November. Surely you keep some behind for like the home nations, the group. I don't mind keeping 2, maybe 3,000 behind for each of them. That's 6, and then. Just fill it out, and then it's first come, first serve. Like whoever wants it dives in and gets them, man. I don't know, mate. I don't understand it all. It's not like the men's tournament where it's going to be everything's going to be there for sellout anyway. But I just want stadiums full. Last thing you want is people panicking, going, "Oh, I didn't put in for the ballot. I'm not going to get tickets," and then the stadiums are all half empty. That's the last thing that you want, really. You want these stadiums as full as we could possibly get them, especially since women's football in this country is growing, and we want to show that growth as much as possible. But anyway, I suppose that's down to UEFA. It's not down to the people like LSV or Manchester United, Old Trafford or anything. This is the way that UEFA have always done things. What players we're looking forward to seeing then as well, though. We never mind about the teams and the groups and everything. What players we all whet the appetite?
Alicia Lehman.
Alicia Lehman, eh? Someone that he's seen her week in, week out playing WSL football. Alicia Lehman's the name that he comes up with, the first name.
No, do you know what I said to Gareth? I was like, do you know what? I'd be buzzing to see the Swiss. They've actually got a couple of decent players. I said, I'd be buzzing to see the Swiss, and we've got the Swiss. So to be fair, in terms of considering we took a gamble on them tickets, I was quite chuffed that I was given a decent sort of group of fixtures as well. And obviously we've got the semi-final and the final as well. But I think for me, just I think Sweden, seeing how Sweden have improved, because again they're a team I've seen in the past, and they weren't as good as what they are now. So I think seeing how Sweden have come on. Try to think what else we've got. Russia's not really of interest as such.
That's been the games that you're going through, Paul. I'm just interested in the tournament overall. Like, which players are really whetting your appetite?
I think, for me, it's.
Do you know what? I'm not even going to list players. Go on, Gareth. I'll let you jump in.
I was just going to say, the Dutch, purely because A few people have said that they're past it now. They're past their peak. They're over the hill. They've gone. But I don't know. I just don't buy that. I think if you look at their squad, they've got quality in there from start to finish. And Jackie might score at LSV. Now she's wearing orange, not red. So what's not to enjoy about that particular game? Germany as well. Looking forward to kind of to watching them. And Spain, to see what the hype is about. But I think primarily for me, biased, I am an England fan. I want England to win the tournament, and if we don't get into the semi-finals as a minimum, it's going to be disappointing. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Serena does with the Lionesses. And I know, Benny, you don't care, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing. You do every week. So yeah, just looking forward to seeing kind of who she goes with. We've got so many exciting players in that team. Hemp is class. Obviously, Tooney's played really well recently. Beth Mead's having a fantastic start to the season. Leah Williamson has played really well in midfield. And there's going to be a battle for the goalkeeping role. So, I know it's an easy answer, and I know I'll probably get told that I'm biased or whatever by certain people, but I'm sure looking forward to seeing what Serena does with the Lionesses. And part of me wants us to come up against the Dutch, because I think that would be a great match, with Serena going back to her old side and hopefully coming out on top. But yeah, a couple of teams I'm really looking forward to seeing. No real standout players. I think the players that I'd be looking forward to seeing are those that play in WSL anyway. But yeah, it might be nice to be able to go and enjoy watching Viv play as a neutral, rather than kind of watching Viv play and hoping that she has a poor game. But yeah, England primarily, and the exciting players that we've got there. I've got to represent my Norwich roots. So yeah, Lauren Hemp.
Oh, dearie me. Cheering for opposition players again. Dearie me. Anyway, no one looking forward to the Italians? Surely if there's one nation that always brings a bit of spruce to a tournament, it's the Italians. No one fancying them as an outside chance?
An outside chance of getting out of the group, maybe. But if they get out of the group, they're not going to go past the quarterfinal.
So it just shows you how much I know about women's international football, because I just thought they might be a decent team. But with France and Belgium and Iceland in there, you can probably say, yeah, it's going to be difficult for them to get out of.
Belgium aren't that great. Iceland are a decent shout to get out of the group, maybe. But those three sides, it could really be any of them. France should go through.
NTL, well, what's going on, mate?
Sorry, Benny. I just called.
Oh my God, it's getting worse. He's on 4G. Was he on back on Wi-Fi?
I think he's on dial-up. Is your mum on the phone downstairs, lad? Is that what's going on?
Probably is.
I can hear you.
Probably using all minutes up, 3 weekend minutes. Gwyn's definitely a player that I'm looking forward to, by the way, for the Germans. She's a brilliant player. Matt, are you able to hear us? Are you able to join us, mate? Or are you still...
Oh, listen, I could hear you. It briefly went black, but I could still hear you.
All right.
No, I called you John by accident before.
Charming.
I was going to say, just regarding Italy, mate, you can't even watch their team. It's just woeful, pal. Woeful.
Really?
It's not like watching the men, but I agree with Gareth. I think Iceland will probably nick that second spot in Group D. France have had a little bit of a lucky draw there, but yeah, obviously, there's been comments on the Germans. I think, saw them at Wembley. They've got some good up-and-coming young players as well. So yeah, just the normal. I think everyone's mentioned the same, aren't they? Sort of Spain, Holland, Sweden, Germany. So yeah, may as well go with
that. Has England got a chance to win this tournament?
No.
Matt saying no. Gareth, come on, the voice of reason.
It depends, doesn't it? I mean, we've not really seen what Serena wants to do. We've not seen Serena challenged yet in any of the games. So, come back to me in a month or so, and we'll see. I think you've got to look at them, maybe not necessarily as favourites. I still think that's probably the Dutch or the Germans. Perhaps Sweden will be up there as well. But I think they've definitely got a chance to get into the semi-final. And once you get to the semi, then anything can happen, really. Once you're into the knockout games, it's just three games, 3 90-minute games. And, anyone can beat anyone, really. So, yeah, they've got a chance of winning. But I think there's 4-5 teams that probably have a chance of winning it as well. I think if you look potentially, I wouldn't be surprised if England, Germany, Sweden, France, Spain as outsiders as well. So any of those 5 sides, I wouldn't be surprised to see them in the final. And then once you're in the final, we know that anything can happen. We know it's a game of 90 minutes and who knows what the outcome's going to be. So, no, don't write England off. It's the home Euros. And, if they get to the final, then it's going to be a predominantly sort of Lionesses favouring crowd, you'd imagine. So, we'll see what happens. I'm not going to be as pessimistic as Craney, but I'm not going to come out and say that we're favourites for the tournament because I don't think we are. I think that's probably still Holland. But, over 90 minutes, nick a goal early on, and who knows what happens. A cross goes in and it bounces in off the Ellen White's shin or something, and we hold out for a 1-0 win. Anything can happen.
Remind me again, the last tournament, where did Phil Neville end up with England?
4th.
In the bin.
4th, right. So, if England get to a semi-final, is it deemed a failure then? Because everybody was quick to get on Phil Neville's back that it was a failure at the World Cup. So you get to the semi-final in the Euros, which is not as prestigious as the World Cup, doesn't have as many good as worldwide teams, that bring in more pressure and more of a challenge. I'm just trying to think of it. The amount of slate that he got, Phil Neville, for doing getting to the same stage as the previous England manager before him, won a semi-final. Not be.
Samson won the 3rd place playoff.
Oh, he won it, did he?
Yeah, Samson came 3rd, Neville came 4th.
Well, but even still, they didn't win it, did they? But we'll come in. We'll get to a semi-final, though, be deemed a failure for England. Because if that's what you're judging the last 2 managers off, and you're going into a European competition without the great South American sides and everything in this, and USA without Canada and stuff like that, isn't this going to be deemed even more of a failure than Phil Neville's semi-final?
I think it depends on the squad that goes. Phil Neville was a lot further into the project than Serena will be. She should have been there less than 12 months. If we're taking players and we're starting players, if we're going with, say, Roebuck, Williamson, Wobbenmoy, Hemp, Tooney, we're playing players like Chloe Kelly, and we're sort of bringing in the younger players, then no, a semi-final's not deemed as a failure. I feel like that 2019 squad was kind of looked at as a golden generation. Whereas now I think we're between phases. So the older players should be moving on. And we should be kind of bringing those younger players through. So I'd like to see obviously Roebuck be number 1. Still want players like Bronze playing right back, but then you want players like Williamson, Wobbenmoy to be in there, maybe with Millie Bright as well. You kind of want to see these younger players coming through. And if those younger players are coming through and they get into a semi-final, then no, I don't think that is necessarily a failure, given that, the World Cup is going to be the year after. So in a sense, what I want to see happen is use this as a launch pad for a World Cup. Go into this Euros, have a good run. If we don't win it, fine, but get to a semi-final, get some momentum, get some confidence in the tournament into those younger players. And in the following year, they can go to Australia and then maybe look to kind of go better once we get over there.
Matt, you shook your head straight away, so England won't win it. If they get to a semi-final, do you think that's a failure, an abject failure, or do you think, like Gareth, that we're still building? There's a new manager in place. There's new players being brought in. Ella Toon seems to be fitting in very, very well. They've got a lot of decent young players coming through England. Do you think this is now the right tournament for them to start blooding a lot of these decent players? And like Gareth said, start pushing some of the aging players out now?
I think so, yeah. If you look now at the current USA squad, that's sort of going for a transition, isn't it? And that golden generation's kind of getting towards the end of the career. But no, listen, Gareth's spot on, and that's the reason why I shook my head, because, if you look at the team, if we do bring through the players that we should be bringing through, then they're not going to be sort of tournament experienced, are they? So for me, even looking in the comments as well, we do play the runner, as mentioned, of Group B. So let's assume that's Germany or Spain. You look at that. I think after that, then if we win that, it's then Holland, I think, in the semis, if I'm not mistaken. So again, that's two pretty big games. So I think getting to a semis wouldn't be a failure. If we're bringing through, like Gareth said, Hemp, Roebuck, Tooney, any of those youngsters, Wubben-Moy, etc., then for me, getting them tournament ready, getting used to that tournament pressure, especially at home Euros, because that does come with pressure. For me, that's it. That's what it should be. And I think the thing was with Phil Neville is that USA game we should have beat them. The way he set up was tactically naive, and the way we played was naive. And I think they were there for the taking. And that's people's biggest gripe with him, with that team and those players. Some of them are in the peak, or they're in decent form. And I think now, sort of a couple of years on, you're starting to see a decline in certain players. And I think now we're having to sort of start again, similar to, like I was saying, the USAR. So I think for me, this just brings that sort of good timing to bring players through. Can we mix sort of the youth with the experience? Most likely, and I think that's what we'll do. But again, Gareth said we've not been tested, and we haven't. So, is Serena happy with her team at the minute? No. Has she had a chance to tweak tactics? No. Obviously, I think the final sort of qualifying games, if I'm not wrong, for the World Cup sort of end about November time, which means the new year will likely be friendlies for building up to the Euros, which again, unless you get in, I think February, we've got that tournament, haven't we? We've got the likes of Germany and that, and Spain. Unless you get in real
Germany,
quality,
Spain, and probably Canada as well, I think.
Canada, yeah. So unless you sort of test yourselves against those teams, you're not going to know. So, that for me is what, the next stage is now, is just rebuilding. And listen, there's no reason why we can't, aim for another semi. But I think in terms of tournament favourites and winning it, I think that's just slightly out of our reach for me at the minute.
I know John's going to go on a show on Monday about Ella Toon, but I just wanted to ask, Craig, especially you, Craig, because you know her so well. Could this be a tournament where Ella Toon takes Europe by storm? I was going to say the world, but because it's not the World Cup, I better rephrase that. Can she take European football by storm? Could it be her tournament?
I think for me, not next summer, the one after, the World Cup, I think it's the one for me. Everybody's talked about how well she's done, and granted, but I think, everyone's like, oh, well, we've got this and we've got that. And listen, she's worked hard and she deserves everything. But I think to put that pressure on her at home Euros as well would be a little bit unfair. I think for me, you want to go and let her just play her football, keep building, keep improving. And I think, without sort of putting, like I say, sort of aims and things and targets on people, I think we'll see a better player in that 2023 World Cup. Listen, she's still one of the youngest players in that Lionesses squad. She's still one of the most inexperienced at senior level. So for me, it shouldn't be down to her. If she scores an assist and she's one of the best players at the Euros, then brilliant. I'll be absolutely buzzing for her. But I think for me, there's more pressure on your likes of your Ellen Whites and people like that to be getting these goals and to be performing on the big stage, having done so for many years. So I think for me, you'll really start to see, like I say, that 2023. Because if you're thinking about that as couple of years' time, isn't it? I think we should have then got rid of sort of the pensioners and the people that shouldn't be there. Like I say, a couple more years to develop as well. You know, a home tournament, the friendlies as well. The more senior games she plays, the better it's going to be for her. So, yeah. But listen, I'm fully backing her to be in that squad for summer anyway for the Euros.
Any comment on that, Gareth? Am I putting a little bit too much pressure on her too soon?
I don't think it's necessarily pressure. I just don't think it's going to be the tournament, like Craney said, where she's expected to be the one that's really stepping up. I think in terms of maybe players that are most likely to shine, I think maybe it's difficult because I think if you look at our attack, then it could be the tournament of Fran Kirby. If we kind of build the squad around her, it could be her tournament. And if you have maybe a front three of Hemp on the left, maybe Daly on the right, Kirby sort of through the middle, and then Ellen White up top. If that sort of forward line clicks, or Kirby up top and Tooney in behind, but if that forward line clicks, then there's goals there. So I think maybe if we're looking at attackers that are going to be the focal point in terms of experience and those that are used to the England setup, probably Fran Kirby. But I think if you're going to look at maybe one of the younger players that's really going to sort of take it on by storm, I think Lauren Hemp is just sort of maybe, she's got about 10 caps more than Tooney, so not a huge amount, but just enough now that she's settled in that squad. And I think she'll be able to, hopefully anyway, do what she does for City on the international stage.
Is there any player that any of you two think will be a standout player? Then there's always one that everybody clamours over. Obviously, in the men over the years, Messi, Ronaldo's, and these type of competitions, and Mbappe's and Neymar's. Obviously, we know what Jackie can bring. We know what a lot of these sort of top international players can bring from watching the WSL week in, week out. But is there anybody that we maybe not know about that? I know you two, you watch world football more than I do for the women's game. Is there anybody out there that we should be looking out for that can really take this tournament by the scruff of the neck?
Sorry, I was muted there. I think for me, obviously, if you're thinking sort of England, I think, like Gareth said, I think Fran Kirby's going to have a big tournament. I don't see if she starts why Beth England can't either. But I think in terms of sort of, other nations, I think for me, you look at some of the German players, I think of like Leah Schuller, for example. She's very young. I think of Sydney Lohman as well, another young, good player. Lena McGull's experience and a little bit older, again, good player. I think Spain's going to be interesting for me. I think just having a look at, what they have and who's going to sort of stand out there, sort of, again, a mixture of youth and experience. So there's always players to watch out for. But I can only really comment mainly on Germany because I watch quite a bit of the Bundesliga. But you never know, Gareth might chuck out some different names now for you, Benny.
I know, Gareth, trying to see a football. Go on, Gareth.
I think it depends on. I think there's a lot of teams that are going to have kind of one standout player. I think it's going to be interesting to see, Pernille Harder for Denmark. Obviously, you got Lika Martins for the Dutch as well. Barcelona are playing well, and so I think there's a number of players, but I don't think really anybody can maybe sort of come through and absolutely smash everything out of the water. I imagine it's just kind of going to be those same players. I think if Jenny Hermoso plays well, then Spain will do well. It's going to be kind of, if Kirby plays well, then England might do well. Or, if Caroline Graham Hansen does well, then Norway can do well. So, I think there's probably quite a few different players that will stand out. And once we kind of get into the tournament and we see them in action, we'll kind of see what happens. Obviously, not mention Viv either. Viv is an obvious one as well for the Dutch. So Robert said Hansen there as well in the comments. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of who it is. I think there's a lot of potential candidates for it, but there's no one that you look at and go, they're going to be player of the tournament. I think it could be open for a lot of players to come in and take the mantle.
If you need a mouth for Golden Boot winner, reckon. On toilet should be very, very familiar on playing week in, week out. For a Dutch national side that is, as Matt probably says, probably their last hurrah. I think it was you or Matt, I can't remember which one said it. Maybe they're on the last hurrah. This is the last sort of maybe tournament for their golden sort of maybe people not call it the golden generation as such, but maybe for that sort of generation of player that they've got. Maybe this or maybe next World Cup might be the last chance. But can you see Vivian Miedema taking this tournament by storm and taking the golden boot on pitches and grounds that she knows quite well, really, a lot of them?
Yeah, I think, of course, you can see it because she's a quality player and she's one of the best forwards in the world. I think at the moment it's probably either her or Sam Kerr, who is actually kind of the most informed striker. Pernille Harder's playing well as well. So, I think Viv easily could go in and become the golden boot and take that away. But it could just as easily be someone like Frank Kirby or Jenny Hermoso or anybody, really. I think it's really, really open. But, wouldn't be surprised if it was Viv.
Matt, if I gave you a £5 note to put on somebody to be a top goal scorer in the tournament in the summer, who you down that £5 down on, mate?
Tough one, that. I tell you what, give us a fiver and I'll let you know. I think I agree with Gareth. You can't write Viv off, but then people sort of talk about England and Frank Kirby being a shout, but I think the one thing we seem to forget is Ellen White doesn't do too badly in tournaments. When it seems to get to tournament football, her records aren't too bad. And I think back to sort of 2019 and other things like that. Spain, obviously, Hermoso possibly. Difficult, isn't it? I think Germany are gonna have a big set. I think they've just got so many different players in that sort of team that are capable of goals. I wouldn't really count out a German. So it's difficult to give one specific name, really. But it's sort of it's a close one, isn't it? And listen, it's a close one every year. Again, really, to be fair, you could possibly say somebody from Sweden could as well. They've gone to tournaments and done well. Again, come on since, like I mentioned before, like you've last seen them. So I'm not going to give an actual name, but teams there that got forwards that'll cause problems. So that's that.
Natalie's saying Spain's going to be the top goal scorers in this competition. Yeah, so someone from Spain is going to be, but I think she's on about the overall winner. I think of the competition. She's got easy money, that one. We all know that Nat loves Spain. For a certain somebody.
Got a bet on then if it's easy money.
I'm assuming so. Don't forget France, Italy, and Sweden too. Says TJ. Natalie back there on a 9-1. I think that's what Spain are at, 9-1 at the minute for the tournament to win the tournament outright. Go on then, boys. Since Natalie's already jumped the gun and nailed her mask to a winner, looks like Spain. What are you saying, Gareth? Who's going to win the Euros?
It's difficult. I don't know. It's tough. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Netherlands. I just think that whereas Spain are coming to the kind of the start of their peak, and I think Spain will probably peak at the World Cup the following year.
Mm.
I think Netherlands are just that little bit further on now, where by the World Cup they'll be over their peak. But I think if their team clicks in the summer, then they'll win.
Someone else is going for it. Spania. Hey, Matt, what are you saying, pal? What? Who are you nailing your master? If I gave you £10 this time,
if you give me £10, Benny, I would give you an answer. No, I think. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think for me, this has been sort of this is something I've sort of thought about over the past few months, and I think for me, it's Germany. You know, I talked about. Dear me, it kills me to say that, Benny, but I just think, you know, like I say, there's so many good up and coming young players, like I say, that I've seen playing the Bundesliga, and I think that mix of experience, you know, I look at it and I just think, you know, if can't even say her name, Ann-Katrin Berger is fully fit and goes, you know, probably the best goalkeeper in the WSL. You know, you look at the defenders, you know, look at the midfield, the forwards. I think they've just got a nice blend of youth and experience, but they've got a very big squad that they can pick from. You know, I mentioned Lohman, you know, McGull, Melanie Lupol at Chelsea, Julia Gwynn. The list goes on, you know, and like I say, obviously Schuller as well. Pop could be one that potentially is a top scorer when you're asking me that before. But yeah, just looking like, again, at the defence, you know, Hendrich, Meyer, the list goes on, doesn't it? I think for me, like I said, they've got a really good blend now of youth and experience. So for me, you know, TJ says they're very underappreciated. I think they've slowly been building. And like I say, I think for me, the way to win the tournament would be a little bit of youth and experience. And I think they've got that now. And I think now's, you know, it was 2 years ago when they played England and I saw that game. And like I say, based on just purely watching Bundesliga, I do think that team now, 2 years on, is one to sort of, you know, really watch out for me. So that's where your tenner's going, Benny, on the Germans, lad.
On the Germans, mate. Lovely job. I'd say exactly the same thing. Get it on the Germans. Not about tournament football. Natalie's also saying Sweden's also a shout. Nobody's taking England then. No, nobody wants to take that curse, mate. TJ saying England certainly is in the mix. No, it's all about the Germans.
I agree with that. I agree. I think England are. I agree. I think England are in the mix. I just don't think they're kind of going to be at the forefront of that. You know, if we're thinking about, I'm going to go on some weird analogy here. If we're thinking of these Euros as like a trifle. You've got like Holland and Germany are the cream on top, and England are that custard layer just beneath. So you know, not quite the favourites, but yeah, you know, I think a semi-final would be a good tournament for England. I think that's probably the level that we're at the moment. Like I say, bringing through these young players. So I think, yeah, they're in the mix, but you know, I think that I was torn between Holland and Germany, but I thought Craney would go for his Germans, so allowed him that one. Yeah, I think they're the two sort of standout sides, and then there's sort of 3 or 4 in the level below.
I think I put together a good argument, and that's why he's changed his mind.
Behave. You saw how long it took.
I really want to change my mind. Good argument.
No. You saw how long it took me to answer that question.
To be fair, I was surprised you didn't say Dutch.
Who, me?
No, are the Dutch the holders of this tournament as well?
Yeah, Gareth said
Dutch.
I think
you know,
Dutch.
You said Dutch. I'm on about Gareth, the way he was beating about Dutch earlier on.
I said the Dutch. I said that I thought there'd been a tournament.
Oh, right. I wasn't listening.
Did it, mate? Keep up.
Mate, I'm trying to look on Sky. Bet to see how much Spain were actually on with. They're on 9-1, but Sky Bet don't seem to have it unless I'm looking at the wrong fucking place.
The last thing I read was that England were joint favourites for Holland, but Gareth did say Holland and I said Germany, just to be clear on that one.
Oh, fair enough, then. I do apologise, Gareth. I was too busy trying to look for the betting odds.
He was doing an Anthony one. He was just sat sideways on a podcast.
Yeah, I've done an Anthony on my own show.
On his acca.
Hey, except I've got absolutely bright red like he would have done. But what's that we said about England there? Same old England. And I'm assuming she's done about that as well. Bridesmaid, never the bride. Ooh. What we're saying here, the time he was walking through and all he saw a takeaway. I'm assuming that's Anthony. Oh, Betfred have. All right, fair enough. I'll have to have a look after the show, so I don't want to miss out anymore. Or what's that? Or Betfair, one of the two. Yeah, I'll have a look. I'll have a look after the show because I don't want to miss out. Because I thought Gareth said somebody else, not the Dutch, but there we are. Shows you how much I'm paying attention and how much I love international football, isn't it? Eh? Oh, absolute bananas. Right, before we wrap it up anyway, Matt, what's the week bringing us, mate?
Ooh. Well, I tell you what, the first thing I'll do before shout out on the road is I will say on Wednesday, Natalie's played an absolute blinder and got one of our original 21 players on. So I think for me, I shouldn't really, as a presenter or a guest or whatever I am on this channel, I shouldn't really pick out a favourite show of the week. It's a little bit biased, but sod it. I'm going to say, if you tune in to anything this week, tune in Wednesday. And I know at the end of it as well, because it had to be pre-recorded just sort of due to schedule, what do you call it? Like schedules.
Commitments. Yeah,
commitments, that's it. Scheduling commitments, it had to be pre-recorded. But I know at the end of it, I did get a chance to watch a little bit of it. At the end of it, there is sort of a, what should we call it? Like a little partnership or a little deal going on. So what I will say is tune into that and watch it, and then you'll know more about it. And hopefully, the little like the partnership deal thing at the end may work in some people's favour if they fancy splashing out on Christmas presents early or for family members or whatever. But obviously back on track. Tomorrow, a few of us are on the road here, there, and everywhere. Natalie's actually down, speaking of Nat, to Bristol, going watching them, keeping an eye on Bentley, Palmer, Tara Bourne at Sheffield. So yeah, she's there. I'm at Stoke against Forest. John, being John, he's obviously off to Stour. Monday we've got the Toonie special, like you mentioned. I've got my show Tuesday. Mentioned the OG21 on Wednesday. Thursday, John and Natalie. Friday Fans Forum. Obviously this week as well, we've also got Gareth's show and Anthony's show back as well, Tuesday and Friday. And then we're back Saturday as well, Paul. So another busy week. So
my show should be good this week.
Say again.
Well, there goes from his own show.
Yeah, of course I'm going to plug my own show. Slightly different from me this week. Obviously still in the WSL back, so I can't really do a wrap-up of the action. So I've got an Arsenal fan, and we're going to talk about the improvements they've made and discuss whether they're title favourites or not.
Have the tissues on and they might start crying. Anyway, and as I said, not as I said, but as Matt said, I totally agree. The Wednesday show, if you're going to tune into any show this week coming, get on the Wednesday show. Nat has pulled an absolute blinder, getting an OG21 on. You'll love it. You'll love it. Absolute blinder. So make sure you tune in on Wednesday. Make sure you tune in every show that you can tune in, or at least catch up to if you can't watch us live. But please, give us the old thumbs up. Give us an old subscribe. Give us an old ring that old notification bell so you don't miss any videos. And follow us on the old socials as well, where, as Matt said, for everybody's going here, then everywhere tomorrow. And John, what's John saying there? Sorry, before I leave. Well, best guess yet. I need to get my bloody readers on because I can't read out his comments.
John says that every time, Benny. Whenever we get something.
I've noticed that. Yeah, best guess or best show.
Best guess.
Yeah. Any last thoughts before we wrap up, boys?
No, just keep an eye on the socials tomorrow for On the Road. And that's it.
Are you on the road tomorrow, Gareth? Are you want to watch a match?
No, I'm on the road to the tattoo shop.
Oh, good lad. What are you getting done?
I'm getting a bumblebee with an eyeball on my arm somewhere.
Is that a bumblebee? Is it a proper bumblebee or a bumblebee? Is it a transformer bumblebee?
As in a proper bumblebee with an eyeball at the back. Yeah.
Good lad, yeah. I just wanted to make sure, because it could have been the transformer bumblebee. That's why I was asking.
It was either that or a
me, lad.
It was either that or your name, Benny.
My name?
Yeah. Benny MUFC.
Or it might get Gareth Gareth of MUFC on it or something. Like John Foster.
Yeah, my name's not John Foster.
Absolute bananas, right? So he'll get a tattoo done tomorrow. Craney's on the road. Hopefully, I might be on the road with Craney and Rob to Stoke. Natalie's on the road, as I said, to Bristol, watching some of our ex-players, especially Amy Palmer, who's smashed it down there by all. Is she captain for them now as well?
Yep.
Brilliant. But loved Amy Palmer at United. Shame it didn't work out for her. But, I'm happy she's doing well at Bristol. Happy she's got the captaincy. And, that'll do us, I think, for today, unless anyone else has got one final point to make. No, they're not. They're both shaking their heads. So best get off anyway. He's losing his. Can't even say pips, can I? Because it's not pips anymore. But he's Matt's on his 4G, 5G. He's been using some of his data, no doubt.
It's all good, mate. Doesn't actually use as much as you think. It's about a gig. So out of 18 gig, it'll be a little bit down, but it's all good, pal. Told you Wi-Fi on a Saturday night, mate. Just needs to go in the bin.
That's all right.
Yeah, but you live in Liverpool.
That's because he lives in Liverpool. That's because he lives in Liverpool and everyone's robbing car tyres and cars and everything. That's why.
Wi-Fi. No, probably can't afford it anyway. That's why Gareth's got like unlimited 5G ultra band, whatever, fibre optic or something.
End the show, Benny, lads.
Yeah, I'm going to end the show, right? Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us in the comments. Thank you for everybody that has watched us. Thank you to Gareth for joining us tonight. Thank you, as always, to Matt. And we shall see you next week. So take care, everybody.